Hello there, Aquarius. Thank you so much for stopping by for your monthly in-depth tarot forecast. We are going to be looking at the month of August, and I do have this broken down. I do have this broken down into different time zones. Not time zones like that. Time segments, let's say. So this first segment that we're going to be looking at is going to be for August the 1st through the 8th. We are going to take an in-depth look at what's going on in your world during that time frame. So here we go. Those of you who are not interested in witnessing the shuffling or the putting down of cards, feel free to go ahead and scroll or, grab the cursor and slide on past this. I won't be offended at all. I know some people really like to witness the idea of the cards going on the table, so it's all whatever you want to do. Okay, Aquarians, let's start at the start, shall we? We're going to start with your environment. And your environment is any place where you have energy or effort invested. For most people, it's home, but it doesn't have to be. You want to kind of keep an open mind as I'm talking about it. This is interesting. It almost makes me wonder if some of you aren't changing residences. There's something that is being brought to an end around your environment, or changing workplaces. There's something that is being brought to an end around your environment. So I don't know if you've had a rehab project that could be being brought to an end. I think that you are really loving the idea that whatever this is being brought to an end. And I think that this is something that is paying off for you. Like, you're really enjoying, you're seeing the benefits of whatever it is that has ended, okay? So if you've ended an employment environment, then maybe that freed you up to do your own thing and you're profiting from it. Or if this is a home thing, then maybe you ended a situation at one home and now you're in another home and you're paying less money, or it's a less expensive cost of living in that area or something like that. But there's something going on where you've brought something to an end. You've been happy with how you've brought it to an end, and you're seeing the benefits of that in your environment. Now let's look at your subconscious leanings, Aquarius. Hang on, Sloopy, hang on. Looks like you guys are thinking that you just want to sit back and wait and see about something that's going on in your world right now. There is somebody that you're having a hard time being on the same page with. I think you want to wait and see how that ends up panning out, if that ends up working out or if that just gets worse. And it looks to me like you're feeling like this situation is something that you thought was ideal at one point in time. Now you're thinking maybe it's not ideal, maybe it's just kind of close to that. And so you're really mulling this whole situation over in your mind and sort of waiting to see. I think you're kind of setting parameters of what you're hoping to see and what you're not hoping to see out of the situation. And just telling yourself it's too early to make a decision right now. I just want to hold off and wait and see. Hanging on. Okay. Alrighty. Next thing that we have coming up talks to me about two different things: learning style and also communication style. We are going to start with learning style first. There's definitely a lot of information that you are picking up on right now, whether you're actually going to school and learning in a formal setting, or whether this is stuff that you are learning because you're curious about it. But I think some of the things that you're learning are changing your perspective on things and may even be life-changing information for you. It looks to me like some of the nuggets that you're picking up now could even be really you could even consider them as gifts, just the fact that you're hearing them or that you're able to apply them. And I think that you are I'm going to say that you've already built a solid foundation in this area that you're learning, but you are adding to what you've got, and you're learning things in a more complete, more in-depth way than what you had before around the situations that you're learning about. So next we're going to talk about communication styles. That's interesting. I think some of you may be hitting that phrase pretty hard, dress for success. A lot of you are sending out messages to the world based on how you're dressed, how you carry yourself, the things that you have. And I think you are sending out strong communication as well about those things that make you happy. You may even be planning some kind of trip with a friend of yours and communicating about that during this time frame. And there is some communication that's emotional, where you're passing along how you feel about something to, or maybe even how you feel about someone, to other people in your life. And I do feel like that's multiple other people. So this could be like, maybe you're letting your family members, or maybe you're letting some of your tribe members know how much they actually mean to you. La da da da. Maybe somebody has a birthday in your life and you're communicating how much you care about them at the birthday. Alrighty. La 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 la. Next we're looking at work. Now for me, work comes up two different ways. For those of you who don't know, a lot of you already know this about me. So work is that thing that we do to make a living or to feel productive in the community. But I also see it as those things that we're doing to improve our own character for our own personal satisfaction. So as far as work in the community, it's interesting. I think that you are not officially working, and I think also that that has you bored and restless and maybe even a little bit anxious, but you are doing some what I call hustling. You're doing some kind of side work. You're doing something that is not really for a company, and it's not really full-time. This could be, maybe you're skilled at working on vehicles, or maybe you're cleaning people's houses. You're doing something to bring some of the income in, but I don't feel like your normal style of work, like that's happening during this particular time frame. But I also don't feel like maybe you're on vacation, and maybe you're very bored on vacation. I don't feel like you are. I think that you're unhappy with the idea that you're not getting work done, and so you're doing some other kind of thing. Maybe you've uploaded a profile to Fiverr or Upwork or something like that, but you're doing something, even though it's not what you would consider your normal job. Okay? All right, next we're looking at that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded right now, Aquarius. I think, Aquarians, you are banding together with other people who are in similar professions to you, especially if your profession has to do something with, how am I going to word this? Showing people the way. So maybe if you're like life coaches, some type of counselor, teachers, some kind of leader, advisor, mentor. And I think you're banding together with other people who are in similar professions to you, and you guys are looking at different options of things that you can do to really to promote yourselves, but as a group. Not one person, but as a group with, the strength of numbers coming into play here. So this could be that you're figuring, okay, well, how can we make a directory? Or how can we, maybe we can all pitch in together and buy newspaper ads and have all of our business names listed in those newspaper ads or inserts or something like that. But this looks definitely to me like there's some kind of, almost like some kind of co-op situation happening here. And that's where you're being grown or expanded. And this idea of working together with somebody else as you are, yeah, I mean, you could just naturally be the leader in this particular situation, but I feel like you're working together with a group of people who are leaders and advisors and mentors here. The other option, the other way this could be read is, for some of you, I think this is going to be true for some of you because it's coming through more strongly now. For some of you, you are going to be leading a group of people that you're collaborating with and looking at what are your options. So you could be leading people on any number of projects. This could be around work. This could be, you could be leading a protest group. You know, you could be trying to put together a quilting bee. Who knows? But there's something that you are definitely collaborating with other people and looking at what your options are with the added strength of numbers. Interesting stuff there. Okay, so Aquarius, next thing we're looking at is something that you stand for. You've been through some kind of stuff, Aquarius, really. There may even be a person that you're grieving for. There's definitely something that you're sad about. Maybe it's about the loss of a job. It doesn't have to be about a person. But I do see that you have come through some intense sadness and really a rough time. I guess we could say that for just about everybody as we come through this COVID, but it's coming up for you specifically. And what's going on is, as you're finally coming to a point where you're starting to feel better, you're starting to feel less sad, less depressed, and you're coming into a position where I think a lot of you may be finding ways to feel better that have to do with some kind of natural or supernatural means. So maybe you're finding herbs that help you feel better, or maybe you're doing some type of energy work to help yourself feel better. You know, maybe you have a reiki practitioner helping you, or maybe you're doing EFT, tapping. You know, there's all kinds of different things coming up here, but I just feel like the healing that you're going through emotionally after going through this rough time, like it's more of a naturally oriented type of healing. It's not something that is based solely on Western medicine, if Western medicine plays a part at all. And I think you're standing up for the idea that you're using natural resources to do that. Now, how other people perceive you. Wow. Somebody has a really sorry perception of you, Aquarius. I don't like this at all. So how somebody is perceiving you is they're seeing you as somebody who's having a hard time finding stability, especially when it comes to finances. And they're seeing you as somebody who just does not plan for the future, once again, especially when it comes to finances. And they're also viewing you as somebody who just generally doesn't like people or doesn't care for people. See, told you I really didn't like their perception of you. Now I'm going to sit here and sulk for a couple seconds. Not really. I'm just moving cards over so I have easier access. But yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that person either. Kind of over them already. All right. Why? Because I like my Aquarians. I don't like what they think of you. Okay, we are going to move on to the flex point or the pivot point. It just seems like it's really dark in here, doesn't it? Let's fix that. Doesn't have to be super bright, but it doesn't have to be that dark. Okay, so the flex point for my Aquarians during this particular time frame has to do with this idea of you're in a really good place as far as your self-confidence and your self-esteem. You're in a really happy place. And part of the reason you're in a really happy place, I know this sounds bad, but I'm going to say it with no judgment at all. But it looks like there was somebody in your life who is feeling deep down, they're feeling blue. I've got the very distinct impression that they have received some kind of karma for the way that they've treated you in the past. And I think part of your happiness is just in knowing that the universe is a fair place after all. That this person has, what they've planted has come back around to them. And so that's part of there's like a little bit of a happiness or a satisfaction from that. All right, so let's look at what else is going on here. I'm going to say that right now you have a very successful marriage, or you have a very successful committed relationship, or this is a successful partnership or contract. There's a heavy-duty commitment or contract that you are responsible for. You have full responsibility in this. Not saying other people aren't responsible too, but you definitely have responsibility here, and it is going very well. Next thing that is going on at the same time, Aquarius. You have somebody in your sphere of influence, Aquarians, who is grumpy, kind of mean, can be very sarcastic in some of the things that they're saying. They may even be saying things to you that aren't even true just to sort of jab or hurt you. And what I see here that's really interesting is that you are opening up to this person. You're sharing some of your vulnerabilities with this person. You're sharing some of your feelings with this person. Even knowing that they're sarcastic and they can be cutting, you're still sharing some of your vulnerabilities with this person in the hopes that this person will, I don't know if I exactly want to say learn from your mistakes, but take advantage of your wisdom and make some changes in their life. This could potentially even be somebody who has some type of addiction issue or has something going on that is causing them not to think about things in a good way or in a straight way. Things kind of are a little foggy or hazy to them. And I think that you're wanting them to improve things for themselves, and that's why you're sort of opening up to them. La da 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 da. So where do we see you at the end of this time frame, Aquarius? Wow. Aquarians, I feel like you have a choice in front of you at the end of this time frame. And I feel like as you're coming into this time, you may be trying to decide, and I'm not sure why, you may be trying to decide who you love the most. And I have to say, I don't feel like this is 100% just romantic love. Like this may be a situation where you're trying to decide, do I love my mom or do I love my wife the most? Do I love my husband or do I love my son the most? If you have multiple romantic partners, this could be trying to decide, okay, who really has my heart? And it's interesting because I see surrounding you for your choices the people around you are codependent, meaning they feel like for things to go right, they have to sort of be in control of them, and so they kind of step over other people's boundaries and do things that other people are responsible for. And I feel like they've been doing this to you. All of your choices about who you love the most have been doing this to you. I don't think this is just one person. And so they've been doing some of the things and making some of the decisions that technically really were your responsibility to do or to make. And out of these people, you are trying to figure out who is actually the queen of your heart, or who is actually the king of your heart. Okay? So that's where we see you at the end of this time frame. So I'm going to wrap it up there. I'm going to take a break, and then we'll come back and we'll check out the next time frame for you, Aquarius. I hope you find this helpful. Welcome back, Aquarius. We are ready to do your next segment in August. This is going to be August 9th through the 15th that we're covering right now. Just going to shuffle till it feels right, and then we'll put down some cards and see what's going on in your life during that time frame. Okay, let's see what's on the board for you guys. Excuse me. We're going to start off with your environment. Environment for the time frame of the 9th through the 15th. It looks like you've got, excuse me, you've got an awful lot going on here whenever we're looking at this environment. And it looks to me like you're feeling as if you're being backed into some kind of choice based around your environment that you're not really liking what you're coming up with here as far as this choice. And it looks like to me this is happening because you've got some things falling through the cracks. So there are things that aren't being maintained, that aren't being taken care of, that is putting you in a situation where you have to make a decision that really is not your favorite decision to make whenever it comes to your environment. Excuse me. Okay, so next thing that we're looking at, Aquarius, is your subconscious leanings. And whenever I'm looking at your subconscious leanings, you are finding that life is pretty interesting right now. I think you may be feeling a little bit overwhelmed. It looks like somebody that you were planning to collaborate with has either not been able or not been willing to come through on that collaboration. And so you're left figuring out, can you do this alone? Are you going to do this alone? And if you are, what is that going to take for you to pull up their end of the bargain and your end of the bargain? I think that, like I said, I think you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed by all of this, and you kind of feel like you're like you're a chicken running around with your head cut off trying to take care of all of this. And your subconscious is really working on, okay, how are we going to make this happen? How are we going to pull this off? How are we going to do this? All right? And when I say, I mean you, yourself, and you. All right, so next thing that we're looking at talks to me about two different things. First of all, your learning style, and secondly, your communication style. So, learning style, you are picking up a lot of good new information right now. You are definitely expanding your information base. This could be through formal classes, but it doesn't have to be. This could be through simple curiosity and research. But there is a couple of things, I think, in particular that you're really interested in finding out about and looking for that information. As far as your communication style, you sort of, that sound is the air conditioner kicking on. As far as communication style, it's there are definitely some cases or some particular thing going on in your life where you're telling people what they need to know, when they need to know it, and when they come to you and ask for the information. I don't think you're volunteering information around that particular situation. There are people that you're talking to, definitely, and talking to on a regular basis. To me, this feels more like your support network or your friends, family members. And there is somebody that you're really kind of giving a skewed picture about things. I think you're trying to basically let them think what they will think and hope that what they're thinking is a best case scenario, because I think that what you have to tell them, you're pretty sure that they're not going to be liking. So you're just trying to kind of be quiet, not to say too much, to be careful with your words so that you're not giving away anything that this person would be completely unhappy about. Okay? Next thing that we're looking at is work. And so what we have for work coming up, there's a ridiculous amount of fighting at work. Things are getting better there. Things are flowing smoother in general there, but you have people fighting there, and it's really causing some hurt feelings and some problems whenever we look at work for you Aquarians. It comes across to me that as things are picking up with the economy, as things are opening up, as things are going more smoothly at the workplace, it seems like people are now fighting for position, or maybe you guys are fighting for promotions or just fighting for good hours on the schedule or whatever. But there's some kind of jockeying for position here that ends up in all-out fights with people getting their feelings hurt. Looking at inner work. Okay, so with inner work, you're really trying to balance out this idea that things are going well for you. Like if anybody was looking at you and your life from the outside looking in, they would say that things are going well for you. However, there's something going on that has you feeling really torn and really sad. So what I would say is this whole idea of things not being as they seem is definitely a player here, and your inner work is to balance out this whole idea of, well, things look great, but I don't feel great. The inner work is figuring out, what am I going to do about that? Am I going to take, well, everybody else thinks I'm happy, so I must be happy? Or am I going to acknowledge my feelings and make some changes where maybe other people wouldn't understand those changes because they think I should be happy right now? That's the inner work. Next, what we're looking at is what part of your personality is being grown or expanded right now. Oh, Barbara. So you guys have somebody that is coming back from the past. And this is somebody that you care about greatly. So it could be a love relationship type person. This could also be a good friend or a family member that you haven't seen for a while. But this person is coming back from the past, making themselves known to you. And I think that you're really, really happy about this. But the problem is that things don't go well between the two of you whenever this person shows back up. And I think that is something that is really troublesome for you. I think it gives you something to think about, as well as the feelings that go with that. Like something to really try and figure out, okay, well, we used to get along so well. What happened there? Okay? La da 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 da, Aquarius. What do you stand for during this time frame? So it looks like Aquarius right now, or maybe just a little smidgen in the past, you kind of put down some of the responsibilities that you had been carrying because you wanted to set a solid foundation. and you needed to do some research to be able to set that solid foundation. And so while you were making time to do that research, you set down some of the other responsibilities that you had. Somebody is, saying something to you about this, and you're defending this sometime during this time frame from the 9th to the 15th. La da da da, how other people feel about you right now. They do feel a little bit like you're rushing things. There is somebody that does recognize that you're not happy right now. They feel like part of the reason that you're not happy is because you like things to be new and fresh and exciting, and once something hits a routine, to you it becomes boring and disinteresting. You don't know how to keep it exciting and happiness making, and so they're seeing this as part of the reason why you're not happy, because something has lost its newness, it's lost its freshness. It's kind of become a part of the routine, and they know that you are not that person that does well with routine. So excuse me if there was like changing of light. I was trying to turn my screensaver back on, off, and all kinds of stuff started happening. So anyway, they're seeing you as somebody who is having a hard time being satisfied with something once it becomes routine, and they see that as a part of your unhappiness, and they feel like you're impatient. You're impatient to see results too, and that's another thing that's leading to your unhappiness, because you don't it's really difficult for you to stick around long enough to see the results, because things don't feel new and fresh forever. All right, so Aquarius, what's next? What's next? Yeah. It's just somebody's view of you. It doesn't have to be true. Sometimes people from the outside looking in don't have a clue. All right, but we're going to move on. Next thing we're looking at is that flex point during this time frame. This is the lesson or experience that you've sort of been put in place to receive. And then we're going to look at what happens as you incorporate that into your life. So, Aquarius, I think that you have been feeling a little bit left out, or you've been feeling like, you don't have enough money to do all the things that you want to do. And that has caused you to make some changes. You're kind of rethinking your whole work life. You are looking at work, and you're looking at, I don't think you're just looking at, I think you're making some changes when it comes to work, so that either it's more profitable, or so that you feel like you have more time for social contact. Maybe you're incorporating social contact more into your work, or maybe you are working in such a way that you have more social contact. Or like I said, maybe you're just maximizing your dollars for your work. La da da da. What's going on at the same time? I think you guys want to be really careful around a contract or a commitment that is in your life at this moment. There is something going on where this contract or commitment is exactly what you thought you wanted. It was your target. It was your goal. And now, I think now you want out of this contract or commitment, because you're finding that it is, it's putting you in a position where you have to be obsessed with whatever this is all the time to make it work well. And that's not what you signed on for. And so now you're really looking at, I thought this was the ideal, but it's not. I don't want to spend every honking day working on this, every honking minute of every day working on this. And so you're looking at, how can I get out of this commitment, or how can I get out of this contract? That makes sense with the idea that you're making changes at work too. So what else is going on at this period in your life? It looks like you are stashing some money back. And I think that you're stashing some money back because you are making plans of doing something different. And you feel like you need to stash money back and hold back for that. So it looks to me like you're trying to be responsible, you're trying to have integrity in doing this, you're trying to not do it fly by night or fly by the seat of your pants. Okay? But I don't think that you're totally where you want to be to actually make all the changes that you are looking at right now. It looks to me like you are making some kind of changes, but I think you have even more in mind, and you're kind of setting some resources back so that you can make those when you have the chance. All right, how do we see you at the end of this week, Aquarius? This is really nice. We see you actually showing up as being a part of some kind of partnership or agreement, contract, and we see that you and the other entity, whether it's a company or whether it's another person, are working very well together and getting a lot accomplished. So there's definitely something that is going smoothly and going right by the time we get to the end of the week. You're seeing progress and you're seeing accomplishment as you move forward. Okay? So that is your in-depth for that time period. I am going to take another break and then I'll come back and we'll look at the third time frame. Peace out. Hello again, Aquarius. We are back, and this time we are covering August 16th through the 22nd in this video. Just going to shuffle up these cards a little bit and then we'll see what is coming up for you in your life. Aquarius. All right, I feel ready. Alrighty, Aquarius, we are going to start with your environment for this time frame. So remember, this may be home, most likely home, but it's anywhere where you have energy or effort invested. There is something that I feel like continuing on here, but there's some disappointment in some kind of contract or some kind of agreement that has to do with your environment. Now, if you're house hacking and, you know, there's a roommate that is coming in that you're renting a room to or something like that, there could be something with a contract like that. If you're leasing, there could be something in the leasing contract that you're disappointed with. I do think you're continuing on with this situation in spite of whatever this disappointment is, at least for now, is what I'm hearing. Next thing I'm looking at for you, Aquarius, is your subconscious leanings. You're thinking about a situation in your life where you are trying to hold integrity and trying to do all the things that you're supposed to do. And yet at the same time, it feels like no matter how much you put into this situation, what you're getting back is not an even exchange. And it looks like in your subconscious, you're thinking about, what can I do to manipulate that situation so that it is more of an even situation than what it is right now? So that's what we have going on in your subconscious. That could have to do with like a personal relationship. That could also have to do with an employer-employee type relationship as well. Next thing we're looking at is learning style and communication style. We'll start with learning style. You definitely do have some new things that you're curious about, you're interested in, you want to find out, and you are looking for that information. I think that a lot of this information that you're finding is causing some emotions in you. It's causing you to have some feelings. And then there's also, I think some of you are actually focusing a little bit on astrology during this time frame as well, as far as some of you are going to be striving to understand more about astrology, and some of you are going to be paying attention to what people who are astrologers are saying. Now, looking at communication style, there is definitely somebody that you are not very happy with. I think you're feeling pretty disappointed with them, and you're not really holding back. You're not you're not trying to smile and pretend everything's okay here. I think you're letting them know in a very definite way you're disappointed. There's also somebody in your sphere of influence that you are working on building a relationship with, and you're communicating as a means or part of a means of building that relationship or building that bond between you and this other person. And I feel like a lot of the communication you have going on during this month is going to be very much surrounded by emotion and healthy type of communication. Not all of it, but a lot of it. Okay. La da da da. Next, we're looking at work. We'll look at outer work first. If you don't know the difference between outer and inner work, you should go back to the first time segment and listen to that. So, it looks like you guys either are not working or that at work people are not working together well at all. Everybody's kind of off doing their own thing. There's not a lot of communication going back and forth. There are probably more communication issues than anything else. And I think that you're missing somebody from work as well. There's somebody that used to be there that isn't now, or that you guys aren't communicating so much now, and you're missing them. As far as inner work, you're really focusing on learning how to be more self-sufficient and more independent in a lot of ways in your life whenever we look at inner work, Aquarius. La da 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 da, la da da da. Next thing I'm looking at talks to me about that part of your personality which is growing or expanding as you move through this time frame. I think we saw a little bit of this before, where you're setting up some kind of foundation, and to me, I don't know if I can say that. So you're definitely setting up some kind of foundation, and you're being very patient with yourself as you do that. You're recognizing that this is going to take time, and if there's another person involved in helping you set up this foundation, same thing. You're being very patient with them too as this whole thing builds. Maybe you're being patient together, but you're definitely manifesting something that you're really appreciating, whether this is that you're setting a foundation for a really beautiful relationship, or you're setting a foundation for a new company, or setting a foundation for a beautiful home, beautiful family. There's this recognition that this is something that takes time. Setting this solid foundation takes time, and you're allowing it to just grow organically. That's where you're being grown or expanded. Next, we're looking at those things that you stand for during this time frame. There is a situation here, Aquarius, where I feel like somebody may have been sharing some things with you, been being generous with you in some way, or at least that was their perspective, that they were being generous with you in some way, whether this was with information or finances or resources or whatever. And it looks to me like this person, is this somebody else or is this Aquarius? Oh, this is Aquarius. Ooh, okay. So this is actually you feeling like you've been generous with somebody in your life and realizing that that is not accomplishing anything that you were setting out for it to accomplish. A lot of times when we're generous with people, we're doing that so that they can get a leg up, or they can get a foot up, or they can be in a better position than what they are. I think that you're saying that this isn't helping them get into any kind of better position. What this is actually helping them to do is to become more dependent on you. And so you're deciding, you know what, I'm going to have to cut this generosity off. I think it really hurts you. I think this really grieves you to actually have to do this. And you are just letting down that responsibility towards that other person. You are letting them pick up responsibility that actually is theirs to pick up to start with. But the way that I see it here, it looks like even though you're the one cutting them off, I think it actually hurts you more than them as far as emotionally that you feel like you have to do this right now. And I think that somebody is saying something to you about this, and you've had to stand up for your position there. How are other people seeing you right now? The first thing that I'm picking up is they're seeing you as somebody who's a really reliable partner, somebody who is able to lift people up, encourage people, and really hold up on their word on things. But they are seeing that you're unhappy, and they are seeing that you're not communicating. This is probably the person that you had to cut off. This is probably how they're seeing you, because they're seeing you as not communicating with them right now and not very happy right now, but somebody that they consider you a good partner to have. All right. What's next? Okay, so the next thing that we're looking at is the flex point during this time frame, or the lesson or experience of this time frame. It looks like the lesson or experience has to do with the idea of setting boundaries around your finances. I think you're getting some kind of good news about money or about material goods, and I think that you're not letting just everybody know about that good news because you want to have more options about what to do with that when it actually shows up. I mean, first you hear about it. Here we're seeing you hear about it. You want to have as many choices as possible about what to do with this whenever it shows up. And so you're not letting just everybody know. Like, you're keeping those boundaries up. You're keeping this more on the down low, so that not everybody and their brothers coming to you and asking to borrow money or to do this or to do that. So that's a lesson or experience of the time frame. As you are going through that lesson or experience, what else is happening? You've had some kind of fight or disagreement with somebody in your sphere of influence, and you have decided that you guys can't be on the same page anymore, and it's time to let this situation go, and I think you're very focused on letting it go. I don't think it's really easy for you to let it go, but I think you're really focused on letting it go because you know that it's just not a healthy situation anymore. Also happening while you're guarding your information about your money, you are being very responsible actually with your money, with your material goods, with your finances, and you're trying to save some money back. You're trying to hold some resources back and stash some for the future. However, I don't see you as being very victorious in doing that. In other words, it seems to me like some of the everyday expenses that come up are sort of chewing into, or maybe you even had an unexpected expense that ends up chewing into that, so that you're not as successful with saving or stashing back as you were hoping to be. Where do we see you towards the end of this week, Aquarius? We see you in a very secure and stable situation as far as financially and material-wise. You have everything that you need. I think we've got a situation, though, with somebody that you care about where that person is going through something pretty big, and they may be calling on you to help them. They're showing up in this reading because whatever they're going through, however it impacts them, is also impacting you, because you're coming into a support position or a support role for them, whether you're just somebody that this person talks to a lot, or whether you're somebody that financially supports them or emotionally. You know, you're in some type of support role here, and that's why this is showing up, that somebody that you care about greatly is going to be going through something pretty big towards the end of the week, and you're going to be finding yourself in a support role. You're going to be fine. You yourself are going to be fine. And I think, you know, the fact that you're coming into a support role, I think this other person is fine too, because they need somebody to come in as a support person. So that's a good thing. So that's how I see that week ending, Aquarius. You are needed. All right. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'm going to take a little break and come back, and we'll finish up the month whenever I get back. Whoops. See you soon. Hello there, Aquarius. Welcome back again. This is the last segment of August. We're going to be looking at the 23rd through the 31st this time. So we're looking at a week and 2 days. So a 9-day segment this time around. Just getting a good shuffle on these cards before I put them down. Feel like I need to kind of twist the deck in half. There we go. Okay. Let's put down some cards and see what comes up on the table for things going on in your life at this particular time. Alrighty, so here we go, Aquarius. The first thing that we're looking at does talk to me about your environment. Once again, that's kind of where we always start here. And so this can be home, but it might be somewhere else too. Be sort of open-minded about where this is, someplace where you have energy or effort invested. It looks like you're making major changes or renovations to your environment. Looks like you're letting the boundaries down, letting other people sort of come in and help with that. And it looks like you've really made peace with the idea that other people are involved with these changes or renovations. I'm not so sure you were totally thrilled about that originally. Next thing we're going to look at is your subconscious leanings, Aquarius. There is something going on that's kind of disappointing for you, and it feels like there's somebody who you were interested in, possibly romantically, but maybe even just for a friendship. And I think that they've basically told you that they're not interested in whatever it is you're interested in, and they're not, you know, they're not going to be putting any effort into pursuing anything like that with you. And so your subconscious is sort of chewing on that and trying to figure out what you want to do with that information. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about learning style and also communication style. We are going to start with learning style first. We have a lot of written words showing up as ways that you're getting information right now, and I do think you're getting a lot of information. A lot of it is based on curiosity. So you may be texting or emailing somebody and asking questions and getting the answers. You could be asking Google or Siri even and getting some of these answers on your phone or your tablet or what have you. Yeah, and I think really your learning is driven by things that interest you and things that make you happy. That's really what you're looking for. And you are getting some golden nuggets of information during this time frame. Let's look at communication style. Strong communication really, and when I say strong communication, I think you've got confident communication, and you're expecting good things, optimistic types of communication with some of the people around you. There is quite a bit of communication going on. Some of that communication is actually more of a spiritual nature than it is of a physical nature. So communicating with the divine, or maybe even communicating about the divine or spiritual things with other people, could be happening. But I think there's a lot of communication going back and forth with the divine for you at this point as well. And I think that your communication is, for the most part, very well grounded. I don't see you really changing your stance about anything, or changing, not saying one thing over here and something over there about any kind of situations. Just very well grounded, solid communication that can be relied upon and trusted. Okay, so next thing that we're looking at talks to me about work for you Aquarians. Work has been kind of tricky so far this month. It looks to me like you may have been doing multiple different things, or you may have started out this time frame doing multiple different things. I think that you have decided that you really want to focus on one thing instead of many, and I think that you've kind of, I think it's gotten to you in scattering your energy in different places. And so I think you actually sort of towards the beginning of this time frame, I think you just have an emotional reaction to just being overloaded. And so you're just done with scattering your energy all over the place. And you're deciding, I'm going to focus on one particular thing, and that's what I'm going to stick with. All right. So the next thing that we're looking at talks to me about that part of your personality that's being grown or expanded right now. Oh, that's interesting. This to me looks like you're renewing some kind of friendship that maybe you had walked away from before, or maybe the other person had. Maybe you guys have just lived too far away in the past, and now you're renewing that friendship and really enjoying some good time with this person that has come back into your experience. Whether you contacted them to bring them back or they contacted you, either way, you're really enjoying that time together with them. La da 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 da, la da da da. Next thing we're looking at is those things that you stand for. You're showing up here as being a very independent, self-sufficient, happy person, very decisive. And I think that you have really decided to pull away from somebody who has strong narcissistic tendencies. And if you don't know what that means, I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you research it. But in a nutshell, somebody with strong narcissistic tendencies comes across as being a wonderful, charming person. They pretty much say all the right things, do all the right things, and the more you get to know them, the more you realize that they are only like that as long as everything is going their way. If there's something that they might have to compromise on, or something that is not exactly what they want, then they start to display some ugly behaviors. So, another tendency of somebody with narcissistic tendencies, or another quality of someone with narcissistic tendencies, is that if you're in a romantic partnership with them, well, they're probably also having romantic interactions with not just one other person, but generally lots of other people as well. They just can't seem to get enough attention to satisfy their self-confidence, basically. So anyway, this basically says that you have decided to be independent and not be somebody who is connected with or attached to or relying on somebody who has strong narcissistic tendencies. And somebody has said something to you about this. Somebody has questioned you on this. It may even be that narcissistic person, or that person with narcissistic tendencies, I should say. How does this other person who questioned you on this feel about you? They feel like you are setting a strong foundation for yourself. Now, we've seen this. This has become a theme for you. This is like the third time I've seen this in August for you. And they feel like you are very independent. You can handle yourself very well. You may even have your own business. You're very confident. But they also see you as somebody who is really not all that stable and really not all that secure. And so it's interesting because I think that's kind of what they're telling themselves. They have like this sour grapes type of attitude, because I think this is the other person. They are able to see where the benefits would be of being with you, but they're putting the sour grapes on it with saying you're not really stable, to sort of help them to feel better about this idea that you have decided you don't have to be partnered up with this person or paired up with this person. And this doesn't even have to be romantic. This can be a business partner who's narcissistic that you're getting away from, or an old friend who's narcissistic that you're getting away from because it's just not working for you. Either way, they're just trying to tell themselves that you're insecure or unstable to, you know, have that sour grapes effect of, well, that's okay. If that person doesn't want me, then, you know, that's all right because they have this problem or they have that problem. When really, that's not how they feel. Okay. La da 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 da. Next thing we're looking at is where things start to flex for you during this time frame, or where things start to change. We do see you being very successful, and I think this is very successful in work. That's what I'm hearing. I see healing coming in. So when you're being very successful in work and healing is coming in, this could be that your finances are getting healed up. Maybe you're catching up on old bills, things like that. But I also feel like your heart is starting to heal up. Just the idea that you are independent, that you are on your own, that you're not dealing with, you know, whatever this other person is throwing at you now, is really giving you the chance to start to heal up. And I think you are really seeing the importance in continuing on this path of independence as you go through this time frame, with that healing coming into place. And with also, I think your self-confidence is building because you're seeing that you can be successful on your own. I feel like the other person kind of tried to make you feel like you couldn't, or like it would be really hard. And I don't think that it's really that hard. I think it's a lot easier when they're not around, to be honest. What else is going on at the same time that you're recognizing that you can do just fine on your own, and you're continuing? You're deciding to continue that way. You are actually forgiving and letting go of any negative energy from before, and you're finding balance within yourself, and you're finding your own happiness. You're really tuning in to who you are and what it is that makes you tick and what it is that makes you happy. That is so fantastic, Aquarius. That's all really good news. I know I have a monotone once I get rolling on these. I apologize, but that is really exciting news. Now, blah, da, da, what else is going on here? Oh yeah. I think you are officially making it official that you are out of this contract or this commitment with this other person. It is done deal. Whether you have to do something legally to do this, or whether you just have to notify them verbally to do this, whatever it is that makes this official in your world, that's happening. La da 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 da. How do we see you at the end of the week? We see money doing pretty good. You've got a nice cash flow, so you've got enough coming in to cover what's going out. That's really nice. We're also seeing you start to feel like you're starting to enjoy the company of people around you. You're not starting to feel like somebody who's left out, where before you were a little bit isolated being with this other person. You're not feeling isolated anymore. I think you're also feeling like your budget is loosening up a little bit too, because you're not meeting the whims and the needs of this other person anymore. So that budget is loosening up. And you're coming into a point where you're starting to be more honest with yourself about what was going on in that relationship, and be more honest with yourself about what it is that you want moving forward. You're not trying to candy coat things to your own self just to excuse the idea that you were going along with some of these ideas that the narcissistic type person had before. Now you don't have to do that. You can be straight up honest with yourself about what you like and what you don't like, and what you think is okay and what's not okay, you know, morally and ethically too. Okay, so that's where we see you at the end of the month, actually doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. That looks like a really quick recovery from whatever that was there that you got out of. Excuse me while I grab this card that fell. Like, I'm really impressed at how fast that recovery is coming in on that. You just made the decision and you started getting over it really quick. Anyway, that is the end of your month, Aquarius. So thank you so much for being here, for putting thumbs ups on this video, and for sharing this video with other people that you think it may be helpful for. And of course, thank you also to those of you who are getting private readings and private Reiki sessions from me. It is because of all of you guys' support at every single level that I get to do what I love to do for my living. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you all very much. Namaste.